Good evening, everybody. Being a Saturday, really thank you for coming and listening to us. And especially, it's a huge, it's always a huge pleasure to hear Harshji and his views about, last time it was gold. Before that, it was about the will. And now, he's got a very interesting topic for us, which is stop and smell the roses. I think it's one of a kind, and as Harshji is like he's a truly a maverick who has had a very enviable career. He's a chartered accountant by qualification. He's been a retail banker, a serial entrepreneur. He successfully sold three businesses, and the last two ones were apnaloan.com and apnapaisa.com. He's also set up ICICI Bank's home loan division. So from heading the ICICI Bank retail business to a renowned, tax planning guru that we like to call him. And he's also, it's not just that we call him guru, even on the expert, TV channels like ET Now, CNBC, Z Business, and he writes regular columns on in Business Standard of Frankly Speaking with Harsh Rumta. I think he's done fabulously amazing in the span of time of his career, which is definitely the kind that I always like to talk about. Is he started his career in 1983 when he became a chartered accountant. And I always tell this that I'm born in 1990, so his career is so his professional qualification is more than my personal life qualification. So it's something. So needless to say, we're going to have a great amount of fun today and a good insight into what Harshji is thinking about life. So Harshji, if I can just roll it over to you as we start the first poll.
Thank you, Jinay. And the next time you crack that 1983 joke, we will have a separate meeting after COVID is over. Anyways, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar series. I think this one is one I've really enjoyed. This one, hopefully, you will also enjoy interacting on this one. So let us start right away. This is entitled "Stop to Smell the Roses," and we will talk about this as we go in. But first, let us start with a poll. Will you be putting the poll, Jinay?
Yeah. So poll 1, right?
Yes, poll 1.
Yeah. Very interesting poll.
So have you ever felt guilty about indulging yourself by buying an expensive item? So I remember that, when this is about 25 years ago, I have had, okay, we'll wait for the poll results.
So you've not started sharing your screen as yet?
I have not.
No.
So interesting, we have people who are not guilty about buying, they've not felt that guilt. Very interesting. Okay, 10 to 15 seconds more, for people who haven't voted.
Okay, let's end. Let's see the results.
Sure, sir. So 60% of the people, 60% of the audience is guilty, and 39 to 40% of the audience is not guilty. So you've got a very balanced, sort of an audience.
Okay. So, I mean, I basically remember my own feeling, and this was about 25 years or so ago. I had, been in a career. I was working with ICICI, and I remember in those days the shoes good shoes used to cost around 700, 800 rupees.
Correct.
And, I bought a shoe that I really liked. When I went into the store, it caught my eye. I really liked it. I bought it for 2000. For the minute, I felt extremely happy, but I felt extremely guilty. It was an indulgence that I didn't know whether I could afford or not. I'm sure there are a lot of people here who have faced similar emotions or similar feelings. If some of you would like to share, please raise your virtual hand or put a message in the chat, and we will unmute you. Please share your own feelings. It would be great to know what the audience feels about this. If there is anybody who would like to share with the people, you're most welcome.
So, in fact, I'll start. I've had a very, sort of an experience with that guilty. It was not in terms of the money that I put in to buy it, but it was just that I'd gone for a coffee and I really liked one blazer from BlackBerry, and I just went ahead and bought it. I think in that sense, it was a very expensive blazer coffee for me. So I've had that sort of a guilt.
Perfect. So, I mean, these kind of things tend to be, what shall you say, impulse buys, okay? On the spur of the moment. They're unplanned buys. Are there anybody who wants to share? Is there anybody who wants to share?
So anybody, Dishit is there. If Dishit would like to share something.
Yeah, please, can you unmute him?
He's not raised his hand, but I'll still. He's saying no.
Okay. Okay.
So Dishit is guilty.
Okay.
Okay, Anu
Okay.
Mukherjee. Anu Mukherjee, I'll just unmute you. You can please share it. Anu Mukherjee, we are allowing you to talk.
Yes, put on his video as well if he wants to.
Yeah.
Video is, I think, is not allowed.
Okay. Anup, please go ahead.
Please unmute yourself, Anup, and okay.
Is my voice audible?
Yes.
Very much audible.
Yeah. It was just once I went to a showroom. There was a wedding in the family, and I think I bought a black color shirt, which was a whole salary of mine,
Oh.
and it was for only one occasion. I hardly wear it later, and it was really expensive at the time.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Anup, for sharing that. I think, does somebody else also want to share? I think Vishal Singla has raised his hand.
Yeah, I'll just.
Hi all, can you hear me?
Yes, Vishal.
Thank you for organizing this session. First one for me. Recently, during the COVID time, I bought a dishwasher. So it was an impulsive buy because I was facing issues. So I thought, okay, it's better to go for dishwasher.
Okay.
But after 15-20 days, once the maid started coming to home, it is just a decorative piece at the home. So it was costing 40,000. I was thinking during that time, if I could have invested that money in the market, it could have doubled by now. So that's something. Yeah.
What do you do, Vishal? What do you do?
I'm a manager with a credit rating agency.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Vishal. Thank you for sharing, Anup. I think, I think most of us have gone through this feeling at some point of time or the other. The reverse of that is that, have you ever felt deprived? Because you crave a thing that you cannot afford. I mean, for example, for me, I remember when I was growing up, crackers, how much crackers I could burst and how much crackers I would get. Now, that used to be a big thing. And I really used to crave, I wish I had many, many crackers. And, let's take this poll on how many people have felt that they really felt deprived because they craved a thing that they could not afford.
Okay, we hope इसमें थोड़ा सा we'll get more non-balanced sort of a result.
Okay.
Okay, another 20 seconds for people who've not voted.
Let's share the results.
Yes, sir.
So as you can see, even here, okay, more than 3/4 of the people, okay, clearly felt deprived at some point of time in their lives. And I think this is something that happens to almost everybody, okay. Again, is there anybody who would like to share with us, with the other participants in this webinar? If anybody would like to share, I invite them to raise.
I'm craving a vacation, huh? But COVID is not, ready to let me afford a vacation right now.
Well, vacations are surprisingly affordable right now. Only you will get an e-pass to go to the place.
Yeah. You remember Warren Buffett's quote these days that be greedy when others are afraid and be afraid when others are greedy. So everyone's afraid, so be greedy, take the vacation right now.
So is anybody willing to share?
Please raise your virtual hand so that we can get you on board. Okay.
Dr. Sushil Kumar Rungta.
Yeah.
I know he's a doctor.
Okay. Yeah. Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Bhaiya.
This is actually regarding we wanted to go Japan, and the COVID, I got my refund, no doubt. But this year I'm 69, and I don't know whether I'll be able to see Japan or not.
Of course, you will be able to see Japan, Bhaiya. Yeah, I know. This is the feeling that you have.
Correct.
And anything else you want to share?
Not right now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I think it's so good. I mean, when you feel good when you share whatever you have been through, and I think you find this is what support groups are all about. That when you share things, you find that you are not the only one who has gone through that experience. But have you ever wondered where does this feeling of guilt or deprivation कहाँ से आती है? क्यों हो रहा है ये? Okay, and to understand this, I'm going to narrate the story of two of my clients. Okay, very interesting stories. The first client couple, basically, I'm just giving you a quick background. This is an independent, well-settled, successful, almost late 50s business couple, both of husband and wife involved in the business. They have only one child, and that son about to graduate from one of the top colleges in India. Their existing portfolio is more than double-digit crores, so fairly affluent. Their house is loan free. They have a farmhouse, again, that's free of any loans or anything like that. Only two goals, basically. Post graduation of their son overseas in a top Ivy League institution, and peaceful retirement in the already owned farmhouse. That is their dream. They just want to at some point of time be able to spend all their time in the farmhouse. So what was the issue at stake? I think the issue at stake was that when we spoke to them, they wanted to buy a high-end Mercedes. That car costed about 1 crore. When we were speaking to them, there were things that we realized. One, I think the couple was clearly tired of their business. It was very clear their son was not interested in running the business even after he would finish his education. And one of the things that they were unsure of was whether spending 1 crore would impact their retirement plans. I mean, in accordance with their portfolio size, also obviously their retirement goal was fairly big in size. When we prepared the financial plan, it showed very clearly that they would easily be able to meet their goals even if they kept the investments as they were, and even if they bought the car. And the first thing after we presented the plan to them was that they actually went ahead and bought the car. Literally within days of our presenting the draft plan, they went ahead and bought that car that they had been talking about for so long. Afterwards, they didn't implement any of the financial recommendations that we gave them about, churning their, doing something about their portfolio of investments. It almost seemed to me as if they came to us basically to get permission to buy the car. I mean, literally, this is a late 50s couple. Okay, it was an amazing experience for me. This is a very, very affluent, very well qualified couple, but because they were just not sure, and moment they became sure, they decided to indulge themselves. It was an object lesson to me in terms of how affluence does not necessarily grant you automatic permission to enjoy or indulge in what you want. If these people with the kind of money that they had were not sure, okay, it became very clear to me, and this was early on in my career as a investment advisor that I met this couple. It was an object lesson to me that money alone does not grant you permission. The second one, and I describe this couple as the miles to go before I sleep couple. Again, just a little background. Young couple in their mid-30s, 2 children, neither of them were yet teenagers. So young, not very young. I think one is about 11, 12, another is 5 or 6. Very well planned couple. Ideal clients. Okay, they've got everything mapped out. Have taken all the insurances that we requested them to take. They have done all the SIPs. They have made all the investments, restructured their investments as we told them to do. Already made substantial investments, and they are regularly investing via the SIP route. Okay, so as I said, dream clients. All their goals, I mean, they had this specific, those undergraduation goals, post-graduation goals, marriage goals for both the children, retirement goals for themselves, buying replacement cars, going on holidays. All those kind of goals are the standard goals that they had. Reasonably ambitious, of course, considering that their income was pretty good, but all their goals were in track, provided they continued to make the investments for the next 10 years that the plan assumed that they would make. So those investments were required, and of course the plan took into account that there was a certain rate of return that those investments would earn. Provided these two things happened, the goals were likely, they were well in control. So what was the issue? Well, he received a bonus. I mean, in these days of COVID, 19 receiving a bonus is a big thing. And the key decision to be taken was where to invest. In fact, when they spoke to us, it was not whether to invest or not, it was where to invest. When we spoke to them, we did the numbers for them and we said, see, if you invest this entire bonus that you have received, then instead of the 10-year investment in the future that you are required to do, it will get cut down to 8 years. That was the amount of bonus that would do. Okay. Which means that your bonus that you received today, you will be able to enjoy it 8 years from now. Our advice to them was to at least consider using a part of it to indulge on whatever goals that they would want to enjoy, whatever that they enjoy. And basically what we told them is that don't go overboard on delayed gratification, live a little. Now fortunately that's not something I have said, that's something the investment guru of this world, Warren Buffett, has said. So it has much more weight than a Harsh Runta saying it. Okay. So that was our suggestion to them. We are not saying go completely, use it completely for enjoyment. Use part for enjoyment, invest part. So you will get both. You will get some enjoyment now when your children are, still at the stage where they want to go out with the parents. Okay. Those of you who are above 50 will understand what I said. And it would still allow you to retire 1 year earlier. So instead of 10 years, you would now need to invest only for 9 years. It was a balance that we recommended. They have accepted that recommendation. What I want to know from the audience, and this is there is nothing right or nothing wrong about this. What I would really like to know from this audience in this webinar is that how many of you think that they did the right thing? And your time starts now.
That everybody is going with you. Okay, last 20 seconds for those who have not voted. Whether they did the right thing or they didn't. Okay, so I'll stop the poll.
Sure.
So here are the results. 88% of the people think that they did the right thing, while the 13% feel that they didn't.
Okay, so I think there is general unanimity that they did the right thing, although some people do, and there's nothing, as I said, right or wrong about the answer. It is just one's own point of view. I am going to explain where this comes from, and for that I will have to give a little bit of my own background. Okay, I have been an investment advisor, as Jinay said, only for 6 years. Prior to that, I was running apnapaisa.com, which I exited in 2014. And like a lot of people, I come from a normal lower middle class background, worked very hard at the beginning of my career to earn money like everybody else. I had a fire in my belly. I wanted to earn money. As I used to tell my friends, I was born middle class. I'm not going to die middle class. Slowly this money started coming in, but I never experienced this feeling of abundance, keep hai, but when this feeling of abundance came, it just came in a flash. And I want to describe that feeling, it is still very fresh in my mind, although that happened more than 20 years ago. So, this was sometime when I was running my own outfit with two of my colleagues. I have always been a voracious reader. And obviously, given the background that I come from, used to use libraries to, get books, because buying books was not really an option because books were expensive. Then crossword happened. And, I discovered this joy of sitting in an air-conditioned yet slightly crazy space. I would browse for hours. I would read chapters and chapters of the book. They didn't disturb us. That was their business model, at least at that time. Okay. And then I would end up buying a book or two, obviously, because more books meant more money. And then on one of those visits, I don't know what came over me. I bought many books, and obviously I would turn them over to look at the sort of the précis of the book. But also when I turned them over, I would look at the sticker price. This time I didn't look at the sticker price. I must have bought some 12, 13 books at that time. And, I cannot begin to describe how I felt about that visit. It was, that feeling is still, it's very fresh in my mind, although it was close to 24, 25 years ago. I suddenly, realized that मैं किताब खरीद सकता हूँ. Okay, मतलब ये मुझे कर सकता हूँ. This is something well within my reach. And I don't remember the bill. It probably was 1500 or 2000 rupees at that time. This is the mid or late 90s, mid 90s, I think. Not a small sum of money, but not a very large sum of money. And it was, that feeling was unbelievable. That feeling of abundance, because I bought 10, 12 books for the first time in my life. I bought those books. And it was not very expensive. As I said, it cost about 1500, 2000. Even if you adjust for inflation, you're talking 5000 rupees in today's money. And obviously, at that time, I still had many miles to go before I slept. I had not achieved my goals. I had fairly young children at that time. So clearly, the goals were still very much on the horizon. So where this, one of the things I realized is that this spirit, and this is I have realized by talking to people, talking to my clients, that, the spirit of abundance, we seem to think that, the spirit of abundance is very expensive to indulge. To get this spirit, मतलब बहुत पैसा खर्चा करना पड़ेगा. I have realized after talking to clients कि normally these are small things. So in my case, these were the ability to buy books rather than to sort of rent them. Okay. I mean, I'm just going to give you some examples of what kindled the spirit of abundance among some of my clients. For one client, when we were talking, I remember, okay, it was watching a particular flower bloom in a particular country, and it would happen only in a certain weeks in a year. And, to be able to go to that country, watch those flowers bloom, paint them, I think those were the kind of, so again, it was not very cheap, but not very expensive either, considering the status of the client. The thing was, just like before I actually bought the book and then realized ki, okay, I can afford this. Similarly, I found that when clients actually did or thought about these indulgences, it freed them, it released them. They did not allow themselves to feel that indulgence. Just like before I bought the books, I had not allowed myself to think that I could buy those books. Another client, it was just about, taking a driving holiday through small town India. Now, I mean, again, not very expensive. It would, I mean, time wise, of course, he wanted to do it from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. We discussed with him and saw that if he could, we discussed with him, can you cut it down and put it in bite-sized pieces. Again, not indulgences are not necessarily expensive. Another client, very interesting. He wanted to sing the morning aarti in a temple. Actually, that does not cost any money at all. I mean, he has to, for example, sponsor the morning aarti, but that's not very expensive at all. It was a small temple. Okay. Of course, there would be some money to be spent in terms of getting training, practicing for the singing. Okay. And obviously the time required to do the training and the practice. Again, these are things that you have to think about. Okay? These are what I really want to do. Not expensive. Another client, it was just doing, social work among the less privileged sections in his native village. I think from all these examples that I given here, you can find that indulging in your passion, okay, is not as expensive as you think it is. Of course, you have to give yourself the freedom to be able to think about your passion, to be able to play out your passion. That brings me to the role of a financial planner and how this, feeling of abundance, how can that be unlocked? Okay. So, what most people think about a financial planner and what a good financial planner does can be very different. I think people think that, financial planners bolega, abhi kuch bhi kharcha mat karo, sab kuch paisa invest karo, and then you save it for your, after you have retired, and then you can have fun. Okay. Invest for your future. Okay. So this is the concept of delayed gratification. It is good. I mean, I would be the last person to say that it is not good. You need to be able to do delayed gratification. It is a very healthy thing to do. It also ensures you about your future. But as Warren Buffett himself says, okay, don't carry delayed gratification to extremes. Live a little. I think that is the real thing. A real financial planner, a good financial planner, according to me, and there are financial planners in the audience and we will have question and answers at the end. Okay. A good financial planner, I think, according to me, works with his clients so that the feeling of abundance can be unlocked for that client. That client feels good, even though he may postpone. So the examples I gave you, some of those clients have still not done it, but the very act of thinking about it, the very act of planning for it itself releases energies and passions that makes them extremely productive and positive. In my experience, there are 5 things that are required to be done, to unlock this feeling of abundance. And what are those 5 things? 1, take stock. Very important. And it's amazing. It's really, really amazing about what we have found with our clients. Take stock means what? Know what your assets and liabilities are. Know what your income and expenditure is. We have clients with income running into crores. And when we did the first round of financial planning, they give us some estimate of their expenditure. If we took that expenditure, the amount of savings that they would show was huge. So we asked them, if you are having this much saving, has your expenses gone down or has your income gone up only recently. They said, no, we have had this income for a long time. Then I said, why is this saving not showing in your assets? It should, if you have been, it should at least show in your bank balance. It's not. And which is when they sat down and discovered that their expenditure is far higher than what they thought. I have clients who have no idea about their, so they have a vague idea. They know their big assets, okay? But they have spread themselves so thin. Every time somebody comes with a good scheme, they read about it in the papers. Sovereign gold bond acha lagta hai, le lo. Somebody comes up with an XYZ Jeevan Sanchay program, le lo. Ye A, B, C, D Bima program, le lo. Somebody comes and sells them, le lo. As a result, they buy and forget. Buy and forget is a good thing, but as long as you know that somebody is remembering it. Let's do a poll, Jinay. This poll has 2 questions.
Yes.
How many people know about their assets and liabilities? No, and if you know 95%, you know, okay? So the first question is, how many of you know completely about your expenditure and income as well as your assets and liabilities?
And sir, if you could also say the second question, or is
The second question is, how many of you have done the calculations and are confident of meeting all your goals based on your calculations? How many of you have done those calculations?
it is interesting the way it is shaping out to be. Okay, so last 15 seconds for people who haven't voted and vote for who want to vote. Okay, sir. I'll end.
Okay, let's end.
Yes, sir.
Share the.
Yes.
Okay, so as you can see, 71%, but fully 1/3, I mean 29% of the people, okay, from this audience also are not fully aware of their expenditure, assets and liabilities. And look at the number of people, 50% who have not done calculations. Okay? When you don't do calculations, I will tell you what happens. We will talk about that. Okay. And there are fully 1/3. So even people who are aware, okay, because they don't do calculations, we can stop sharing the results. Okay. Fully 83% of the people have never done their calculations. Okay. And the issue with that, when you don't do the calculations, is that you have a vague feeling, I have enough. So as I said, we have clients who are wealthy. Some of our clients are really wealthy. Okay. But even they are not, they know they have the wealth, but then they have outsized goals to, match the wealth that they have. And they have this vague little feeling at the back of their mind, do we have enough? Okay. That's why it's very important that you must sit down and define your goals, calculate it. So, you ask a client, how much do you want to have for your child's post-graduation, this thing. So he says, okay, my child is 8 years now. He will go for post-graduation when he's 21. So that's a good 13 years away. Let me see. If he goes to the US now, it will probably cost 40 lakhs a year, 2 years post-graduation, 80 lakhs. Okay. So let's provide for inflation, 160. Okay. There. That's the calculation that he does. That is if he is a reasonably well-organized person. Okay. But he knows that that calculation has not been done properly. He knows, so he's not ever sure. Okay, that's why it's very important that you must define your goals and calculate it. Nobody can calculate inflation in their head. Even Einstein said that I cannot calculate inflation in my head. So nobody can calculate. Probably you need to be a Shakuntala Devi to be able to do that. Make a plan. Even if you have lots of money, make a plan. Okay, there should be reasonable assumptions and there should be provisions for contingencies. What happens if somebody falls sick? What happens if your business suffers a loss? What happens if you lose a job? I mean, these are things that COVID has taught us, but these are things that are there in any plan. Any good plan would have a provision for contingencies. Now there are some things that so some contingencies you can keep a reserve sum of money. For some contingencies you can buy insurance. So for hospitalization expenses of yourself and your near and dear ones, you can buy insurance. For the risk of dying early, so that your income stopping because of death, again you can buy insurance, right? But for some contingencies, you can't do anything. If there is a permanent loss of income, now if COVID has left people jobless and some of them are never going to be able to work again. COVID has destroyed businesses and probably it will take a long time before those businesses will get back on their feet. Very clearly, no plan can provide. So plans typically would have a period of 6 months during which, you will put your business back on feet. You will find a new job so that your income will restart. Your plan cannot provide that. So effectively then if you provide that much contingency that if your business stops at any time, then effectively you are actually providing for retirement. You are not really providing for a contingency. So knowing this, so tomorrow there can be an unexpected, you assume a certain investment return. Now that investment return may not happen. You may take it conservatively, sometimes even that may not happen. And it may actually result in a loss. It can happen. Even over a long time, it is possible. Okay. Now, these are contingencies that are not possible to provide for in a plan. But being aware of what is not provided for, it is like undergoing a, going in for a plane journey. Okay. You are aware that there will be some turbulences, so you carry a little bag that allows you to puke into it, etc. But even you cannot make a provision that the landing gear will not go down. So there are some things that you can provide for. For other things, but you are aware that you have not provided for those things. That also gives some level of comfort. And the fifth, like everything else, budget for indulgence. So all our clients have something I called an enjoy life goal. Even those of the clients who are still not able to fulfill their other goals, we have an enjoy life goal, which may not have any assets allocated it to right now, but it is there as a placeholder, as a reminder that this needs to be provided for. You need to have fun on the journey. It's not just about reaching the destination. The journey is the destination. Very clearly, you must enjoy the journey as much as you enjoy reaching the destination. It has to be a right balance. There has to be balance between, providing to make sure that you reach your destination and enjoying your journey. Is this the right balance that allows you to, if you only concentrate on the journey, you will not enjoy it because you know that you are compromising with your destination. If you only think of the destination, you won't enjoy the journey. You have to think of both. You need to, as they say, have the flexibility, you need to provide in your plan a time and a budget to stop and smell the roses. And this for me is by far the most enjoyable part of our practice. When I sit with clients and I talk to them about what excites them, what is their passion, you know, the excitement in their voices, the animation in their faces, even when we are doing it over Zoom, when I talk to clients, and you know, when you find out that their passions are about things which they can very easily do today if only they would allow themselves to. So I mean, it is so enjoyable, it is so exciting to unravel this, you know, layers that allows the passion to come through. It is really something that is very enjoyable part of the practice. Even if you're not able to fulfill, not everybody has the resources to be able to fulfill their passion, okay, but thinking about it, speaking, discussing, talking to other people about it, combined with a financial plan that makes some provision for it, maybe not today, maybe it's 5 years down the line, but making a provision for it, that itself unlocks the spirit of abundance as nothing else can. And that spirit of abundance basically unlocks the spirit of positivity. It allows you to do well in whatever it is that you're doing. It allows you to take decisions that you may not otherwise have the courage to take. And you know, I've seen that some clients have this spiritual bent of mind, some are religious. It, you know, it invokes this huge feeling of gratefulness, thankfulness. Again, that's a great enabler to enjoy your indulgence. This, as I told you, is the most exciting part of the practice that I do. So let me quote Wayne Dyer. He is a famous, is late Mr. Wayne Dyer. He was a very famous motivational speaker in America. Abundance is not something we acquire. It is something we tune into. So it's not about your money. It's about what you allow yourself to do. I want all of you, every one of you, to take a minute off. Okay, don't look at the screen, just take a minute off. Imagine that you have all the resources in the world. Think about it. Say you have whatever you think are resources required, it is there. Everything is taken care of. Whatever goals you wanted to do, imagine that you have the money lying in the bank. Just think about it. That is there, so you don't have to worry any longer about your goals. If that is so, what would you indulge in? I'm going to give you about a minute to think about it. What comes to the top of your mind? Please think about it.
Adrian has raised his hand. If you would like to share.
Just.
Yes.
Okay, so I hope it was pleasurable thinking about it, at least for some of you. If it allows you to unlock some of the thinking, some of the passion that I have seen other people experience, this entire webinar, even if it allows one person to do it, this webinar would have been worth it. If some of you would like to share what is your passion, okay, it would really be useful for other people as well. I think Adrian had raised his hand.
Yeah.
If he wants to share.
Adrian, if you can just unmute yourself and share.
Adrian, unmute yourself, please.
Okay, I don't think he's there.
Hello.
Would anybody else? Yeah, yes, Adrian.
I'm very much glad. Sorry about the delay. Anyway, it's a very thought-provoking idea, on this in terms of talking about this photography was one which you were passionate about.
Sorry, Adrian, what do you
Photography. Photography.
do? Okay. And what do you do, Adrian?
Distribution in sales.
Okay. And so are you already doing photography or you think about it?
Think about it.
Okay. And why haven't you done it so far?
I've not had the time.
Okay. Okay. Do you have a financial planner?
No.
So you must talk to a financial planner, Adrian. Okay.
Mm.
Because I think you will find time to indulge in your passion. Okay. If you feel confident that your other goals are taken care of.
Yes. Thank you. I will do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I just have one question here for Saurabh is there on the panel as well. So Saurabh, if you had all the resources in the world, which is the kind of cuisine of food that you would like to indulge in?
This is the 1983 moment for Saurabh.
In fact, I want to share. For me, I as much as I love eating, I absolutely love cooking. So, I would really want to indulge myself in really learning how to cook maybe a Thai cuisine, or I love Konkani cuisine with this that style of cuisine. I would indulge myself in learning that, and then really try to understand how the flavors are put in and all those things. So I would want to learn that, in fact.
What is stopping you from doing it, Saurabh?
So honestly, I tried, looking at, I could not find any particular course, and then really it's not my priority, so it kind of gets a backseat. But
So what you need, Saurabh, is a financial planner of your own. I'm serious. I'm really serious. There is a concept of peer financial planner.
That's true. That's true.
Everywhere in the world, and I think that is something. So let me share. I mean, it was always my dream to be a teacher, and when I was in my career at that time, of course, unfortunately in India, teachers don't make a lot of money. And it probably is still true, I'm not sure. Okay. And therefore it was always my dream to be a teacher. And now, I mean, I indulge in some of that, as I said, there is no 0 or 1 about this. I enjoy putting together these things. This is not teaching, this is coaching. Okay. Whether it is this or whether it is the workshops that I do for advisors, I really enjoy doing it. It indulges my passion as a teacher. Is there anybody else who would like to share?
Dishit is there. He shared something. I'll just, Dishit, unmute yourself. You would like to travel. Kidhar jayega, Dishit? You can tell us.
Yeah, so I would love to travel to maybe the northeast or the north side and explore the place, maybe stay with the locals. So not the tourist type of traveling, the backpack traveling, stay with the locals and enjoy the place, have the local food and all those things. So that is what I would love to indulge in.
Wow. So why haven't you done it, Dishit, already?
So I try to do it. So I have been to Leh, but the place is so mesmerizing. I'm attracted to it and would like to go any day again also. I'm in that love with that place. So, but yeah, right now I'm not in that capacity that I can stay there forever. So I have to be back to my place.
You can work from Leh rather than working from home. You can do that.
Yeah, surely I can.
So in fact, during this enforced lockdown, I know of many people who have gone back to their hometowns and are working from their hometowns. They're staying with their parents, who have larger houses. Good internet is now available everywhere, and they're living the life, and they're doing work, because what does it matter whether you are sitting 2 kilometers away or 2,000 kilometers away? As long as you are, in the same time zone or similar time zone, it's fine. So great. I think thank you everybody who has shared what they felt. Let me talk about what we do at Fee Only Investment Advisors. Okay, this first paragraph was definitely not written by Jinay. Okay, it has been written by my other colleagues who have far more respect for me than Jinay has. Okay, as they said, it is led by the passionate and young Harsh Rungta. Jinay, please note. Okay, and acknowledged expert in that, so it's slightly embarrassing to read about yourself. Investments, financial planning, and tax, I think, but most important, as I mentioned, is unlocking this spirit of abundance among our clients. Among the areas that we work in, comprehensive financial planning and investment advisory services, we have an RIA license from SEBI. We specialize in offering NRI investment advisory services, remittance, end-to-end remittance, end-to-end regulatory services. We have a program that dynamically allocates between equity and debt. The investments, these are of course offered to our clients who have comprehensive financial planning, but this one is also available to people who may not have comprehensive financial planning with us. We have end-to-end complete tax planning, tax filing, representation services, inheritance planning, and disability planning services. For those of you who are interested, the first webinar I had done in this series was on preparing for disability before the will. Very interesting, again from personal experiences. So those are now services that we offer to clients. Liability planning. So again, I've earned a living out of selling loans and credit cards. I don't do that any longer. I don't advise people to use credit cards any longer. I have made my money from that. But of course, loans are a fact of life for a lot of people. Planning for those loans, how to take them, whether to take them, whether to repay those and other kind of things are again services that we offer. Retirement and annuity planning services. Now, retirement services always conjures up the image of, investing for your potential retirement. I think there is much less focus on how do you withdraw. You have already retired or about to retire. You have already created the corpus. Now you want to know how to invest, how much to withdraw, how much you can afford to withdraw. Will you be able to leave something for your heirs? Will you have some contingency? That is the kind of planning that we do for a few of our clients. Any of these services, if you wish to explore, you can write at harsh@feeonlyia.com. Please do put, we will start the questions and please put your comments in. There is a Q&A box below in the panel, or you can put it in the chat box and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. Over to you, Jinay.
Okay, sir. Sir, as usual, fantastic session. I mean, abhi aisa ho gaya that we've run out of words, to describe the session. So probably
good comeback for the 1983 quiz.
And in fact, 1983 was the time when Kapil Dev lifted the World Cup. And there was one champion who entered the personal finance space.
Wow, thank you.
Content space. So India has gained a lot from the 83 experience. Okay. So the question that, before the Q&A box gets flooded, there are a couple of questions from my end. Sabse, the first is, जब आप बोलते हो कि indulgence, isn't there a conflict, in terms of when you go to a financial planner, you're going with an intent that he'll tell you not to spend so much. He'll tell you not to, try and cut down your expenses and, get towards the side of saving more so that, like you said, delayed gratification. Also, if you can, give your thoughts on that, because it seems to me like there is a conflict, you know, कि बाकी सब बोल रहे हैं कि आप बचाओ और आप बोल रहे हो कि जाओ indulge करो, enjoy करो life.
You know, I remember this story that I had read कि you know and I will narrate this in Hindi. वो एक आदमी के घर में डाकू घुस जाता है, ओके, तो डाकू उसको बोलते हैं कि सारा पैसा दो, सब दो, बंदूक दिखा रहे हैं उसको, सारा उसको लूट लेते हैं. फिर एक सेफ दिखता है उनको, वो बोलते हैं ये सेफ खोलो, तो वो बोलता है मैं नहीं खोलूंगा. बोले क्यों नहीं खोलोगे? क्योंकि बोले इसमें मेरे लिए वो पूंजी है, मेरा वो पैसा है जो मैंने मेरे बुढ़ापे के लिए रख रखा है. वो बोले खोलो वरना मार देंगे. वो बोले नहीं, मैं ये पैसा आपको नहीं दे सकता, ये मेरे बुढ़ापे के लिए है. द पॉइंट इज, अगर वो मार देगा तो बुढ़ापा आएगा ही नहीं. सो आई थिंक अगेन I there is no real conflict. Okay, if you look at it, I think as long as you do it balanced, as we said, you balance between the journey and the destination, you balance between enjoying life today and your goals. Be clear what you are doing. I think the clarity is more important. As far as, you know, there can be a slight conflict for the financial advisor, because ultimately, please remember, the financial advisor like me gets paid on what you invest, not on what you spend.
Right.
Okay, but usme bhi there is not much of a conflict of interest, because eventually when you ignite a client's passion, okay, he is so happy, he is so satisfied, okay, he actually brings clients to you. I mean, our entire practice has been built on reference. Okay, there is not, I mean, we don't do any marketing. Okay, the closest we come to marketing is doing these webinars, which indulges my own passion about coaching. Okay, so I mean, there is no real conflict, to answer your question, Jinay.
Sir, there is a request for you to show the screen where you mentioned about the services we provide. So if you can go
A couple of slides before.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. There's the email ID as well, as somebody's asked for. I think Ghosh has asked for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is the most important slide in the presentation.
Achha, sir, so, my second question, comes from. So, आप जब भी बोलते हो, you know, indulgence is good, and go for it. You know, so basically, what you're trying to say is that go for this feeling that will give you a sense of abundance to life. Ki, you have something. I mean, you have more than what you are thinking currently. So I remember when you spoke about जो आपने example दिया about the books. You know, when you went to Crossword and you just bought everything without looking at so I mean, at that point in time, was it like something you had followed all the 5 processes? I mean, were you like completely ki haan, you know, I'm going to indulge right now, or I feel abundant because all my financial goals are going to be taken care of. कोई मेरे को चिंता नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, and things is going as like life is going as I've planned. Because I think this is one of the things that really we think about it all the time. Ki whether do we have to indulge or not? Because what happens for tomorrow? What happens if we fall short?
Okay, so I think great question, Jinay. So the very fact that I remember something that happened 25 years ago tells you, okay, that it was an important part of my life. But no, I had not followed the 5-step process. And because I had not followed the 5-step process, that feeling of abundance didn't stay with me. Okay, the normal concerns would overpower it. So it was there. Okay, it freed me to a very great extent. For the first time in my life, okay, I began to imagine that, oh, I have resources. And what did it? A 2,000 rupee purchase of books freed my thinking. Did I get worried afterwards? Of course I got worried afterwards. Okay, I mean, when I was running my company, I used to worry about the monthly payroll. There were times when I had no clue where the monthly payroll was going to come from. So those are parts of my life. It is only now that I have learned that had I followed this 5-step process, okay, then that feeling of abundance would have remained with me, okay, rather than it being fleetingly there. Okay. So don't go by what I did. Okay. As they say, a wise man learns from everybody learns from their own experience, but only a wise man learns from somebody else's experience. That is what I would like to say.
Sure, sir. Acha hai, Namrata is not there, listening to this. Otherwise, she would have said, I want to feel abundant. Let me spend, on the shopping, whatever I want to.
But that's not what I meant. Exactly. As I said, one of the things is to please budget. So if you budget that this much you will spend on shopping, then imagine the fun you will have spending that money. Okay. So budget that I will spend 40,000, 50,000, 1 lakh, whatever is the figure that is relevant for you. Once you budget, this is my go mad money. And then you know where it fits in within your overall plans. Then imagine the fun that you have doing it. Yeah. Really frees you. And it has to be experienced to be believed.
Sure. I think it's like the shackles just go through. So we'll take a few questions from the Q&A box as well. So first question is from Nikunj. He's one of my friends, very close friend of mine. He always has this one question always on his head. So today I'm passing that question to you. Because he doesn't, it's always Ghar ki murgi dal barabar type. So he said the question is that everybody says that don't put all your eggs in one basket, but financial advisors are always about doing an SIP, the systematic investment plan that we talk about. And so what he's saying is ki, even if you do SIP in various funds, but then there is something like a crisis like a corona where all the indexes were down, and so was all the SIPs, all the investments that they had made were down. So what he's asking is, so isn't it wrong to invest all the savings in SIP only? So SIP probably, I think, as far as I know him, is just about mutual funds. So what he's trying to probably ask is, sab equity mein dalna chahiye? Is it like that or not?
Well, आज के topic से this question is not related, Nikunj. Okay, today we are talking about the spirit of indulgence and the feeling abundant. Okay, really. So this is a very TV-like question. Okay, खरीदूं, बेचूं, रखूं. Okay, to answer, so it's very difficult to answer a question like that. Okay, first of all, SIP is not a investment. SIP is a method of investment. You can do SIP in a fixed deposit by doing a recurring deposit. You can do a SIP in an equity mutual fund. You can do SIP in a debt fund. You can now do SIPs in equity. You can do, SIP is just a way that you do systematic and don't time. Okay, that you don't think about the pricing. And I think that, please follow that is all that I can say. I don't think we should spend any more time on that question in this webinar, probably a different webinar.
So probably we'll take that question, off the webinar.
Sure.
Okay. So the second question is from Anant Sadeshmukh. He says that it's a very interesting comment that he said that when it comes to money, everybody is a pessimist.
Everybody is a pessimist.
Okay. Indulgences get deferred, not action, not today. The budget for abundance is dynamic since the markets are dynamic. So आपका budget भी थोड़ा सा plus minus हो जाता है. So he's asking, is there a thumb rule कि क्या कितना रखना चाहिए मुझे abundance के लिए मेरे budget में, और उसका periodic review कैसे करना चाहिए?
So it's a lovely question, Anant. Anant is I've known Anant for like forever, literally 30 years now, 30, 35, almost my entire career I have known him. Okay. So Anant, my point is, how much should you keep for abundance? The maximum that you can keep, maximum possible that you can keep. Okay. Ultimately, what is the money for? The money is only a means. It is a means to an end. As long as, so I think what you really need to do is to sit down and decide what your ends are. If you are retired, then you sit down and say, okay, this is the expenditure that I would have. I would expect to live till maybe 90, be conservative. People live well into their 90s now. So I will live till 90, maybe till 95 if your family has a history of longevity. Okay. If I live till 95, this is the kind of money I will need. Okay. Even if I put it in reasonably conservative investments. If after that also something is left over, you must use it for abundance. I think doing this exercise, even though you may decide to then take a risk, little bit of a risk, doing this exercise will unlock itself. I think that is what we found with our clients. They just have vague ideas. No, I don't have enough. Even people with double-digit crores, okay, and middle class, they've grown up middle class, no flashy habits, okay. Even they feel that we don't know, is it? Why don't, this is something I learned long ago. When you are worried about something, you sit down and write, okay, what will happen if this happens? What will happen if that happens? What will happen? Same way you make a plan. Okay, this is what I would need. Let's say things go bad, I would need 1 plus 10%, 1 plus 2. Make a plan. I think making a plan solves a lot of things. It will definitely solve for a lot of people.
Awesome. So there's another question from an anonymous attendee. And like I always tell you, when you have an anonymous question, it means you have a fan. It's just that he's not willing to come forward. So he's asking, what about, a blanket percentage to spend on indulgence? And any suggestion on a typical, saving percentage? How much percentage of the salary should be saved on indulgence?
So again, unfortunately, there is no one answer. I know that's not a very satisfactory way to answer this, but there is no one answer, right? For somebody who has already built up a corpus, whose goals are modest, okay, everybody's, this thing is different. The point is to do a calculation. I cannot impress strongly enough. So, we do this in our practice, and we do this with people who earn double-digit crores a year. I have done this with a couple who together earn double-digit crores a year. Okay, we set up an income account and an expenditure account, and they were supposed to transfer only whatever they thought was their expenditure into the expenditure account, and they found, okay, that their expenditure was far higher than what they had budgeted for. But because they segregated it, they stopped using their credit card, they started spending, it would drop, then they would have to transfer, and when the debit card swipe got dishonored, that is when they realized that account ka paisa khatam ho gaya. Then they would think, ये करना है क्या खर्चा, क्यों मेरे डेबिट में, क्यों मेरे उस अकाउंट में पैसा ट्रांसफर करूं, और करना होता है तो वो तुरंत, आजकल everything is available at the click of a button, he would transfer. But what he had did was he has introduced a pain of paying before making the payment. Okay, I think those are the things that are important rather than having this magical percentage. That seems to be like a permission. Okay, कि हर्ष रुंगटा ने बोल दिया 10% is the rule of the thumb, so let me use 10%, 5%, 1%. That's not true. Do a calculation. That's what I would like to tell everybody. Please do. You can do it by yourself. A third party can obviously give you more objective feedback, but you can very much do this by yourself. Please do a calculation. Don't go for a rule of the thumb. I've never liked rules of the thumb, and that is my answer to this question as well.
So he's had a follow-up question also. He's requesting if there is a tool to do that calculation. He's using balance sheet assessment every month, investment and market value calculation.
He's already doing the calculation.
Yeah.
So then all that he needs to do is he needs to calculate what he needs in the future. He is doing a good calculation about what he has today. He needs to do a calculation about the future. So there are various tools. I mean, every site has a tool, a retirement calculator, an education calculator. I mean, I am not able to give name, but I think you type that retirement calculator and some, I think tens of thousands of calculators will open up.
True. Okay. No problem. So, yeah.
Any more questions, Jinay?
Just a second, sir. There is not much of a question, although Manish Gulati suggests are requested for a, if there is a good book to read on this subject. I mean, because since you're a voracious reader, I mean, probably.
On the feeling of abundance, I think not in the manner that I have presented it, but otherwise, obviously, I can talk about the books that I have liked. Okay, so one of the books that has had a profound impact on me, it's a pretty cliched book, that's The Alchemist. Okay, and it has had a big impact on me. I read it at a time when I was going through a real crisis, and it had a huge impact on me. But again, as I'm saying, that was for me. It would be so. There are so many books on the spirit of abundance. The one that I liked was The Alchemist.
I think Alchemist was one of the most radical book that from Paulo Coelho. I really like Brida as well. His another book, I think, fabulous in terms of the way he comes across and puts out his point. So Anup has, taking your cue from your voracious reading, Anup Mukherjee has suggested that do some indulgence to suggest or share books to read as a financial advisor, probably a fictional one.
So a secret, basically unfortunately, I don't read as much as I used to read. Okay. One, and I have a very eclectic taste in reading. I used to read fiction. There was a time when I stopped reading fiction. I'm back to fiction, and I'm literally not very, I do read good books, but I read pulp books as well. My favorite author, all-time favorite author is P.G. Wodehouse. I don't think they make them like him any longer.
Not at all. Not at all. If you just pick up the book, you can't stop reading it.
If you see somebody reading a book and laughing, okay, you can be sure he's reading a P.G. Wodehouse.
Absolutely. So I think, we've come to probably, the close of the session. So Saurabh, if you also have some questions, why don't you jump right in?
So there is a request from Mr. Ghosh. He wants to look at the slide where we mentioned about those.
Where we
mentioned about those 5 steps to unlock abundance. He wants to have a look at this slide.
There.
So it just comes to me as a question that, why is it that we've always thought about indulgence as a very bad thing? Why does it happen?
Indulgence is a hugely positive thing. Hugely positive. Okay. Including diet. Okay. So if you like ice cream, I see Saurabh smiling, right? So a good dietitian will tell you that if you have followed the diet, if you have followed a plan, they will make allowance in the plan for a cheating day, for a cheat meal. Am I right, Saurabh? Right? So, similarly, this is not even cheating. This is your money. Okay. Why don't you use part of that money to enjoy it today? As long as you're reasonably sure, okay, you can never be absolutely sure. Even if you have all the money, today you put it in a place where you lose it. It can happen, right? So you can be, if you're reasonably sure, you must enjoy life today. To quickly repeat the 5 steps, take stock, know about your income, expenditure, know about your assets, liabilities, define your goals, calculate their values, make financial plans with reasonable assumptions, be aware of what contingencies are not included. Okay. And 5th most important, budget for indulgence.
Definitely. Something that reminds me is before, if you want to indulge into watching a movie right before your exams the next day, make sure you are covered thoroughly. Then watch as many movies as you want and go and crack the paper. So yeah.
Okay. So
That's it from today.
thank you everyone. It was really a pleasure for me to present this. Thank you, Jinay. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you.